Hey, hey. Hi, guys. Welcome back. All right, let's get to one, just kind of a brief little touch base on singles storyline. Let's go with this deck. What do we have for a singles storyline? We have an action of cups, and it is sideways. This could be two people mutually interested, though still, kind of thinking about walking toward one another. This feels like a springtime love story, so this may not be blossoming yet. Could be two people that are like, starting to think that by springtime I would love to have a love story. Yeah, we'll commit to that story because we see characters that are still in hermit's mode, but they're ready to walk up that long pathway and maybe come to the top of the staircase. They're coming out of hermit mode. They can see the light at the top of the tunnel, and even here we can see the light and the flowers, and it's a beautiful energy. We've got, I think, more than one person though that is about done being single, and they're starting to look kindly and maybe even excitedly at the idea, the prospect of romance again. Maybe it's been a long time. Oh, yeah, Six of Swords in the reverse. There has been a lot of stress for a very long time. And that's been something that at least one character, possibly a Virgo, has been working through. Okay, tell me more. Yeah, slow but steady so that it's really, truly, completely healed. And it's really, truly, completely like I feel refreshed. I didn't want to rush it. I took the time that I needed to get over something. And I feel so much better. Belle MV. Hi, Angel. Thank you so much. It is so nice to see you again tonight. Thanks for hanging with me this evening. I love it. We've got the Judgment card in the reverse. Okay, so the big thing, and we'll just say this could have been a Virgo, but the big thing our hermit person was doing is they had to make sure before they moved on and said, I think I would be ready for love again, they had to make sure that they didn't want their ex back. They had to make sure that there is no reconciliation moment. This is not somebody who changes strides easy. When they love, they probably love all the way. And so if I'm really going to let go of something, I have to be sure that I'm letting go, because when I do let go, it is complete as well. You know, I'm all in or I'm all out. This person doesn't do gray areas. And I can see now why this would be a character who's like, I have to go on the, dark night of the soul. I have to work through the thought process. If I'm really letting go of somebody, I have to make sure that I've been able to heal thoroughly, and that if they called, I wouldn't go racing back to them, because otherwise there's no point in me moving on with somebody else, not unless I know my heart is ready. We've got the Two of Pentacles in the reverse. They're sure. They have become sure. And now the prospect of love again, like every day gets a little bit more exciting, a little bit more blossomy. Saman Setia, hi, sweetie. So good to see you. We have an Eight of Pentacles. Beautiful energy on this. It's not only getting exciting again, but I don't know, this character could have gotten a tattoo to remind themselves, like, this marks the day that I realized I was ready to love someone new. It's a day that I got me back. It's, I worked through I'm going to say that this was a very, very difficult chapter of a character's life, one that probably marked an ending of an entire era. So this could be somebody that was madly and deeply in love with somebody, and that chapter, for whatever reason, I think that they had to fall out of love with this in this storyline. For this, sometimes we go, oh, characters can continue to love each other, but they're not together anymore and they've healed and they move on with life. That is not the way this one feels. This feels like, because our character is such an incredible loyal heart, it's like if that was still the person I wanted to be with, I couldn't move on. But the fact of it is that isn't the person I want to be with anymore. That's why this is so momentous. This is not one of those stories where it's like, oh yeah, me and my ex, we still talk and we have unconditional love for each other, but we'll never be together and that's cool. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like it was something that a character had to really get over, and it changed them at a fundamental level, and it healed other things inside of them as well, as they healed from this distress, as they had to let go of a thought of reconciliation. I mean, heck, maybe this is somebody who had been in love with somebody that didn't treat them well, and they healed from many things at once, the trauma of that or something along those lines. Because I see this person saying, I have learned how to be loyal first to me. I'll never let, myself fall so much for somebody that I don't know where good boundaries are for myself. I will always be my own German Shepherd, my own defender, my own protector of my heart and my time. I really think this is a healed person. It's not like they're walking around going like, ooh, I'm not going to let somebody else in, or, I'm always on the defense because every love now seems like a battlefield. That's not it at all. This is a character who's genuinely healed. I don't know if I've chosen the right vocabulary to try to describe this fictional character, but this is a hard fought, you know, um, sense of freedom. But I feel like this is a character who healed like decades of stuff, even unrelated to that. And now they feel so much better about themselves. They feel better about the concept of love. They actually look at love like love could be joyful and happy. I don't think love was joyful and happy before. I think this is a person who had plenty of strife in their life and then had a very stressful love story, but because they love so deeply and they're such a massive protector, but they finally have learned how to love themselves and protect themselves like that. And now they look at love as, is this going to be amazing? I've never dated when I felt healthy before and I felt, secure and safe and like I make, like I have good boundaries for me. I've never dated because I was looking forward to having a joyful love story before. This is so great. It feels like the kind of person that they're going to be attracting could be a King of Cups, somebody who will be just as loyal as them, right? Because seahorses do mate for life, but somebody that is emotionally available, just like they are, somebody who will bring light and love into their world. How is our character attracting or going to meet this person? I am so, so happy for this character. Bellenby, I love that. RT, you're so adorable. Thank you for being here, RT. You're so sweet. Lalu, hi, babe. Um, we've got the inspiration of swords. That is, the inspiration of swords is the page of swords in any other deck. I said, how does our character attract this person? How do they bring this wonderful, joyful? This is the first time our character will have ever had a joyful and sincere love story. And so that's why I'm like, how do they get this? Because I want them to get this. I want them to be able to attract it. And it says, on one hand, they free themselves mentally enough to know that they're allowed to have a loving, reciprocal kind of joyful experience. And they also have probably learned so much about how to look for red flags. And I'm not saying they're out patrolling for red flags and everybody that they meet, but it's more like they are realizing someone who's going to be good to me should probably care to get to know who I am. They should care about the little details about me. I should matter to them. And now I'm not embarrassed or ashamed to say I want to matter to somebody. Because I do think somebody who's gone through this much hell and this much of a difficult relationship in the past and had to deal with like consistent stress and come through the other side and then start to, realize that I deserve to have a joyful love story instead of a one full of strife. And I had to learn how to protect myself a little bit too, and I have a right to do that. I'm guessing that they maybe never really like allowed themselves to admit like it's not arrogant to say I want a romantic partner who cares to show me that they're interested in who I am. I feel like our character might have put up with people and maybe not just in a love relationship, but like as a whole, sometimes in life, this could be a character who oftentimes they would care immensely about people and they got nothing back in return. No protection, no caring, no support, the little tiny details. Like I feel like this King of Cups is going to notice if they look down and they're like, you got a little hole in that sock and your baby toe is sticking out. And it's your winter socks and it's cold and you're walking around the house, but you shouldn't have your little baby toe being strangled like that. I'm going to go buy you some new socks. This is the kind of like little detail, little sensitive act of caring that I don't know if our character will have ever had before. And it's those little things where somebody cares and they know your likes and your dislikes, and they know and they want to pay attention, and it's a two-way street. I want to get to know them too. That's going to be maybe a really good green flag for this person when they meet a King of Cups, to weed out who is a King of Cups and who isn't. Who is the kind of King of Cups I want to be with? And I'm not saying this person, it's like, I want somebody who will know exactly what temperature my soup needs to be, and they put a thermometer on it before they hand it to me, and they blow on each spoonful for me. I'm not saying this is a character who now has gone the other end of the spectrum and they want to be, taken care of, and like, never mind, I won't go down the road I was going to go down. But it's not like that. It's not the far end of the spectrum. It's just, it would be nice to have somebody who knows and cares enough to clock the subtle things about me, to ask me other questions, somebody who gets to know who I am and shows interest in me. Okay, so that means conversation is going to be a big thing. These two may meet and have interesting dialogue. They may work on something together. This could be somebody that they meet in the workplace, or just, there's lots of things that we have to solve. You could walk into like a home improvement store and be like, talking to a clerk there and saying, I've got this plumbing issue and I'm trying to fix this, or, I want to retile something. And they spend, 45 minutes talking to you about, like, well, okay, is it a backsplash? Is it, are you doing a shower? Is it going to be wet all the time? Is it wet once in a while? Like, what kind of grout do you need? What kind of towels do you need? Sometimes you work on projects getting to know somebody like that also, and realize, wow, that person really cared. That person took time, was interested. Heck, I brought back in a photo when the job was done, and because they'd helped me so much, I asked them out for a drink, buy them dinner, whatever. I'm just saying there's a lot of different ways to get to know somebody when we say they might work together on something. By the way, I'm sorry, it looks like skill saw blades to me, which is probably why I went to home improvement, and we see diagrams and we see, like measurements and such. So somebody could be a contractor. They could be working on a project together, but this doesn't start out with like mad romance. It starts out with talking about things that matter and discovering that this King of Cups has interest and attention span and makes our character feel like they're a real person. Attentiveness is huge, I think, in any kind of a relationship. We have Action of Swords and we have the Nine of Cups. I kind of think that this King of Cups is going to wind up asking our character out, and it could be a bit of a surprise. This could also go from two people communicating and realizing, like, wow, I see you as a person, you see me as a person. I enjoyed talking to you, even if it was first work related. And then from there, it's like, well, I'm going to look forward to seeing you outside of work sometime. It could be that these two make the jump pretty quickly from having normal dialogue about everyday stuff or work related stuff, learning some things about each other, and then realizing that was a nice dialogue because it felt real. It felt like I was talking to a real person. And from there, things could make the big jump where it's like, I was still grinning when I was done talking to you. So I turned around and came back in and gave you my number. This could happen quickly because when two people are on the same page, they're interacting and it's sincere. And keep in mind, this is what our character is wanting, right? They want at this point to experience what it's like to have equal give and take in somebody who's present and who cares. I can understand that when you're in that mindset and you promised yourself, even with a freaking tattoo, I will never accept anything less than something that I actually feel good about. I have to, somebody's got to pass my sniff test as to whether or not I'm going to give them my time. And I could see how our character in that frame of mind would definitely attract and start talking to somebody because they now know what attributes they like. So it'll be easier to find attraction for somebody that is showing you those attributes. It could be like, oh, if our character weren't in this frame of mind, they could walk into that home improvement store, talk to a clerk, but never click and realize, like, oh my God, this person is fantastic. This feels so nice. I'm vibing with them. We're communicating. It could be something where it's like, I went in, eyes glazed, I asked where the tile was, I walked back out, I was done. But because our character is now aware, I want to connect to somebody who shows me like that they're attentive. And now I meet somebody like that and I realize I'm finding this person attractive. I'm liking the care that they're, giving. I didn't know before that's something I was looking for. Now that I see it, I'm responding to it. They're also responding to me. Sometimes all it takes to change a stranger into like a potential romantic partner is when we see them for the qualities that they bring to the table. This isn't about like, oh, I'm looking for somebody who has to have blue eyes and, black hair and, of whatever, this height or whatever like that. This is like, I'm looking for somebody that is present and shows me an emotional awareness. That's what our character wants. And I think it's going to streamline them being able to spot this person, find this person. I'm not saying they're out questing for it. It doesn't even look like they're out like trying to date. It doesn't look like this person is going on online dates. Looks like they're literally in their day-to-day life going to come in contact with somebody who is fabulous. Probably more than one fabulous person. When you're looking for certain qualities, you'll be amazed at how many people have the qualities that you're seeking. This isn't somebody looking for perfection, but they are looking for the one non-negotiable, which is, I got to be able to have something that feels like it could be a love story where it feels happy, where it feels like we're together because we care about each other, where it feels like there's a loyalty and we both care about having a good life together and sharing a good life together and caring about what that means for one another. This has nothing to do with what anybody looks like. This is about the real connection, that what really would make a relationship work. And our character is pretty freaking brilliant, probably because they went on that hermit's journey. Who they're going to be attracted to is going to be it's going to be the energy that this person gives off. It's not going to be the looks. So it could be an unexpected person, like I said, because what they're seeking is, honestly, what they're seeking is something so, what we could call something so basic that we would think that's always the framework that you would want to find for any relationship. But I argue, no, I think only maybe when you get mature enough do you know to look for that. Otherwise, it can be like attraction comes first. Somebody's pretty eyes are the real reason I started dating them. Somebody who said the right sexy pickup lines. Somebody wore something flashy and it looked really awesome on them. Those are superficial reasons to think a relationship is going to be successful. But when you're looking for the real components, like I want somebody who cares if I'm happy or not, that's probably way more important than whether or not they have, the perfect haircut the day we met them. So I would just say this character is super mature and it looks like they're getting results. You guys, thank you so much for being here. Kiki Halsey, hi, babe. SLH, Shale Hamilton, delightful to see you also. Again, Bellum B and RT, Lalu, thank you, everybody. Simon Setia, wonderful to hang with you. All right, guys, I'm going to bounce out of here, and I will post the today's topic video somewhere. I won't do that one live, but it'll pop out right around midnight or a few minutes after. All right, you guys, lots of love. Bye for right now.